Hi everyone, in this video we are going to solve a problem. The problem name is insert intervals and the problem number is 57. So guys, let's quickly see what this problem say. You are given an array of non-overlapping intervals. So we are given with one array. You can see in example intervals where intervals of I is starting I and ending I. So we are given with an array and inside of an array we also have one more array that has two values. First is starting and second is ending value, right? After that, intervals is sorted in ascending order by starting of I. So here we have two intervals. So let me write 1 comma 3 and 6 comma 9. So these two intervals are sorted in order. How we can say sorted? See, you can see guys, the first interval ending at 3 unit of time. The next interval are starting from 6 unit of time. We can say if an interval is starting at 6 unit of time, then all the previous interval should end before the 6 unit of time, right? So here you can see that if I am starting from 6, then I should have complete my all interval before 6. So I'm completing my previous interval before 6, right? I hope this much is clear to you. Or we can say, right, the next interval should be start after this 3 unit of time. So it can start from 4, 5, anything get greater than 3, right? Now guys, you can see that we are given with one more line. You are also given an interval, new intervals starting I and ending I that represent the start and end of another interval. So we are given with one more intervals, new interval, which has only one interval 2 comma 5, or we can say starting and ending value. Now, what we can do? Insert new intervals into intervals such that intervals is still sorted in ascending order by starting of I. So this only want to tell us that, let me move all these things. So guys, this only want to tell us that we are given with one intervals, new intervals and one intervals array. So we have to insert this interval into these intervals such that this interval array is still in sorted order by ascending order. I hope this much is clear to you. If it is not, so let's quickly solve this first example. So guys, we are given with 1 3, let me write 1 3 and 6 9, right? Now I want to insert this 2 comma 5. So guys, if I write in between 2 comma 5, you guys can see that this interval is starting at 2, but the previous interval ending at 3. So we can't insert it, right? We have to complete this interval, then only we can start new, right? Okay, so let me remove this one. Fine. Now guys, how we can insert this one? See guys, we can't insert after this as well because this is starting at 2 and this is ending at 9. So how we can insert this 2 comma 5? So guys, did you notice that this interval is starting at 1, right? And this interval is starting at 2. After that, we can say that this interval is starting earlier. So we don't want to lose the task which is present at that unit of time. But as we can say, this 3 is overlapping before 5. So we can say this 3 is already coming. So we can remove these and we can write 5. I hope you are getting it. I just want to tell you that, see, 2 comma 3 are coming in between of 1 comma 5, isn't it? So we can say that 2 comma 3 can be done in between 1 comma 5. So we can directly add 1 comma 5, which says that 2 comma 3 also in between of that. So this is how we can make an interval by adding this new 2 comma 5 interval into this an interval array. I hope this much is clear to you. If it is still not, so let's guys see the second example and see our logic how we can solve this particular problem. So guys, let me write here logic now. And here I'm going to take the same example. We have 1 comma 2 interval, 3 comma 5, 6 comma 7 and 8 comma 10 and 12 comma 60, right? And we want to insert 4 comma 8, right? So how we can insert this one? So guys, see, we have this interval arrays. So guys, if we notice a first interval, this ending at second unit of time and this is starting at 4, right? So we can't say that this is overlapping. So this must be start after this interval, right? See the next interval. So here we have 5. So here we can say that this interval is ending at 5 unit of time, but this is starting at 4. So we can say that this must be overlap with this one, right? Now guys, it may be the case that it may come in between of that. So we have to check that value as well. So we are going to say now check the first value as well. The first value is greater than the last value. No, first value is smaller than the last value. That means it is overlapping now. So all right. Now we are going to take minimum value for starting this interval. So we can say 3 and 4, which one is minimum? 3 is minimum. All right. So we are going to take a new interval that is have a minimum value 3 and the maximum value is guys 5 and 8. Which one? 8. Fine. But it may overlap with another one as well. So let's move ahead. And here we can see that the starting value is 6 and ending value is 7, right? So now guys, we have to just keep check of last value. Here 8. Until and unless we don't get this 8 variable less than the starting value of any other intervals, then we can't stop. So here 8 is still greater than 6. So keep move ahead. Here 8 is not greater than, it is equal. So keep moving ahead. Here we go to 12. So now we can see that this 8 value is smaller than, that means this value is greater than this 8. So we will stop and we say that take the maximum value that is nothing but 10. So far we have here 5, 7 and 10, here 8. So which is the maximum value? 5, 7, 10, 8. That is nothing but 10, right? So we are going to take maximum value that is 10. After that we can say insert this new interval in the place of this 3 interval. So here we are going to say our new interval is nothing but 1, 2, 3, 10 and after that 12, 16. So this is our answer as well. You can see in the example 2 as well. This is our answer. We have this answer 1, 2, 3, 10 and 12, 16. I hope this much is clear to you. If it is not, let's see the code part and see how we can implement this particular solution. So guys, first of all, we are going to say if not intervals, then return our new intervals, right? If there is no interval in our intervals array, so we can say this new interval is going to be fit our intervals array, right? Okay. If it is not the case, if intervals has some intervals, right? So what we can do? We can say check first of all whether new interval come at the first beginning. So we can say if new intervals, let me write here new intervals, if this has ending value which is smaller than intervals of 0 of 0, that means we are saying that let's say we have an interval, right? We have let's say 6 comma 10, and new interval is nothing but guys, it's a 2 comma 4. Now guys, this 2 comma 4 is coming at the first, right? This 2 comma 4 can be inserted at the beginning. So what we can say, we can say check the value new interval of 1, that means 4, is it smaller than this 6? Yes. So we can say directly, let me write here. So guys, we can say here intervals dot insert at the 0 position this new interval and return our intervals. I hope this much is clear to you. Now guys, there's another edge case. We can say if our new intervals may be insert at the end. So what we can say, if new interval of starting value, that means 0, is greater than intervals of -1 or 1, right? Now what we can say, here I am saying that let's say my interval is nothing but this 3 comma 5, and here I want to insert the value that is 10 comma 20. So you guys can see that the ending value of this 5 is smaller than the starting value of my new interval, right? So we can say that insert this interval at the end. So what I can do, I can say intervals dot insert at the last position, that will be tell by the length. So I can say length of intervals. All right. After that, insert this new interval, right? I hope this much is clear to you. Now, guys, once we have done this all, now what we are going to do? We are going to say return intervals. Now, guys, here our logic start. We are going to use a while loop. Before that, I'm going to say I 0. We are going to iterate from the 0 index. Okay. And after that, my while loop will start while I less than length of intervals. And I have to use this length of interval many times. So let's create a variable. So what I can do, I can say n is equal to length of intervals. All right. And here we can say while I less than n. All right. Now guys, what we have to do, we have to take our intervals from this particular indexes. So we can say interval is going to be intervals of I. So we took one interval from our array. Now we are going to check first of all if new interval of one index, it means the end value of new interval is smaller than intervals of 0 indexes. That means guys, I am saying that, let me write interval, not intervals. Here guys, I am saying that, let me write here, if I have a value, let's say this 3 comma 4, and I have my interval nothing but 1 comma 2. So guys, you can see that this interval is greater than the ending value of my new interval, right? So we can say insert in the front of that. So what I can do, I can say result dot append this new interval, right? So new interval, and I haven't created this result, so let me create also. So what I can say result is going to be empty, and let's create one more variable, that is flag. I'm going to say by default this flag is going to be a true. That means I have to insert my interval, but once I have inserted, I'm going to make it false. So I'm going to say flag is equal to false. I have this much skill to you. But now guys, what I can do, I can say if flag is true, that means we have to insert our interval, and our interval of 1, that means ending time of our interval, is greater than our new interval of 0. Let me write new interval of 0. Here what I'm saying that, see guys, so what I mean by this, let's say guys, we have this interval. So I'm going to take again same interval 3 comma 4, and the next our new interval which we want to insert is nothing but, let's say 1 comma 6, right? So here we can say the end time of this interval means our interval of 1 is 4, and this 4 is greater than the starting time of this one, right? So we can say these are overlapping now, right? So if these are overlapping, then what we are going to do? We're going to say find out the starting minimum and the ending maximum, right? So we can say start min. So let me write start min is going to be minimum of interval of 0 and new interval of 0. I have this much is clear to you. And same we are going to do for ending also. So let me write interval of 1 and new interval of 1. And here I'm going to say end maximum, right? So I'm going to use a max function as well. So let me write max. Now guys, what it going to do? Let me write max. Now guys, what it going to do? You can see that it's going to take right now. We have 3 comma 4 and 1 comma 6. So the starting minimum is going to be 1 and the starting maximum is going to be 6, right? But it may be the case that this 1 comma 6 are overlapping with another more variable, right? So let's say here is nothing but 5 comma 7. So this is overlapping with this one as well, right? So we can say now max value should be updated. So what we are going to do, we are going to say I is going to be equal to plus equal to 1, and here we are going to use a while loop while I less than n, and new interval of 1 means n time here 6, right? is greater than or equal to interval of, let me write intervals I comma 0. That means I'm saying that keep moving until and unless your interval of I comma 0 means the starting value of your intervals is less than or equal to new interval of 1. And we are moving ahead. That means we are moving ahead to a new interval. So what we are going to do, we are going to update our max as well, right? So we can say end max should be updated. It should be maximum of end max, and our maximum value, that is interval of, let me write here, interval of I comma 1, right? Now guys, once it's done, we can append this the intervals into our intervals array. So we can say result dot append this starting mean, let me write starting mean, and ending max. Once we have appended it, what we can do, we can say also flag is going to be false. Means we don't want to append it again, right? We have inserted our interval array in resulted intervals, right? Now once we have done this, what we can do, we can come out of this if condition. Okay, so I'm going to say if our I is less than n, that means still we have some intervals. So what we can do, we can say result dot append all these intervals of I, right? We can do like this, and intervals, let me write intervals. Fine, I have to write here intervals as well. Okay, and here as well intervals, right? Here we are using a particular array, not only intervals, right? Now guys, what we can do, we can update our I plus equal to 1, and we can return our result, right? So this is what we have to do in this problem. I hope this much is clear to you. Now let's try to run this code and see whether we are getting any error or not. So you guys can see that all the test cases are accepted. I have written some more test cases to make clear that my code is working fine or not. Now let's try to submit this code. But before that guys, before submitting, just make sure you put here equal to sign, because I forgot to do this, and just write here flag add, because we don't want to insert a new interval again once we have inserted, right? Because I got an error by submitting this code, right? So now let's try to submit this code. And here we go guys. It's successfully accepted. And you can see my wrong answer as well. 10 minutes ago, 12 minutes ago. I suffer a lot to solve this particular problem. But yeah, after solving, it's an easy problem, isn't it? If you learned something new in this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe my channel. Meet you in the next video.